George Floyd's brother decries a modern-day lynching in testimony to Congress. Believe me, like, subscribe, click bells, we thank you. George Floyd's younger brother took his grief to the U.S. Congress on Wednesday with an impassioned plea that lawmakers not let his brother's death be in vain, lamenting that he didn't deserve to die over $20 in what he called a lynching. The House of Representatives Judiciary Committee held the first congressional hearing to examine racial injustice and police brutality following George Floyd's May 25 death after a Minneapolis policeman knelt on his neck for nearly 9 minutes. His death prompted a wave of protests in U.S. cities and abroad. "They lynched my brother. That was a modern-day lynching in broad daylight," villainized Floyd, 42, of Missouri City, Texas, near Houston, told the committee, his voice breaking with the emotion. "His life matters. All our lives matter. Black lives matter," he added, wiping away tears. The Democratic-led House is moving forward with sweeping reform legislation that could come to a vote by July 4th, while Senate Republicans are crafting a rival plan. George Floyd, a 46-year-old Houston native who had worked security at nightclubs, was unarmed when taken into custody outside a market where an employee had reported that a man matching his description tried to pay for cigarettes with a counterfeit bill. George wasn't hurting anyone that day. He didn't deserve to die over $20. I'm asking you, is that what a black man's worth, $20? This is 2020. Enough is enough, his brother said. It is on you to make sure his death is not in vain. He buried his brother on Tuesday and described how they had not been able to say goodbye. "I'm here to ask you to make it stop. Stop the pain," villainized Floyd testified. George called for help and he was ignored. "Please listen to the call I'm making to you now. To the calls of our family and the calls ringing on the streets of all the world." It is unclear whether Democrats and Republicans will be able to overcome partisan differences to pass legislation that President Donald Trump would be willing to sign. Believe me, like, subscribe, click bells, we thank you. Several Republicans pledged cooperation and voiced support for a pivotal provision that would scale back so-called qualified immunity protections that shield police from lawsuits by people suing for damages. White House spokeswoman Kayleigh McEnany, who said the Republican president may take policy action on race and policing through an executive order, called reduced qualified immunity a non-starter. McEnany said Trump's administration has nearly finalized plans to address police brutality that could be made public within days. Police officer Derek Chauvin was fired after the incident and charged with second and third-degree murder and manslaughter. George Floyd and Chauvin worked as security personnel at the same nightclub.